So if you guys were to actually just go upstairs and come into my office, you would see my desk, and it looks more or less like this. I've got a computer, some stacks of papers, some notebooks, binders, bits and pieces. Some things I'm not sure how they're there, but they're there, and I like to think of myself as relatively tidy. On the other hand, if you were to see my boyfriend's desk at home, you wouldn't even know it's a desk. These stack here, it would be a bit more like this. These pens maybe spread out. It would be a mess. And the thing is, even though it's a mess to me, to him, he still knows where everything is. So a mess to someone doesn't mean a mess to everyone. And in a way, our desks, whether at work, at home, or at school, is actually a reflection of our own personal organization. And this mess to me might make total sense to you, that there is in fact a method to the madness. Now, if you think of this desk as actually a cell in our body, in each cell, there are over 40 million proteins. So that's a huge amount of clutter to be having in this cell. Yet, just like we organize the papers on our desk, the cell also has a way to organize the proteins in the cell. It has a method for taking a stack of papers that we might be handed in our job, and by looking at what they say, maybe who they're from, some might go here, some might go over here, and maybe if they're really urgent, we keep them right by the computer. The cell does the exact same thing. But rather than looking at these key words in the papers, they look at these key protein modifications. And in that way, they can direct these proteins to different parts of the cell. So in my research, the key word or the key protein modification that I'm particularly interested in is called myristoylation. And by following the way the cancer cell organizes these myristoylated proteins, we can gain some insight and some real understanding into the fundamental functions of a cancer cell. Now back to, I've slightly cleaned it up, but the messy desk that you might find at my house of my boyfriend's. If I was to come home and need to maybe use the computer, I might start with having to clean it up a bit, moving a few things to the side just to make some space so I could think. If he was to come home later, he wouldn't be happy with me. He would tell me, "You've moved my things, I can't find anything," that there was this sheet of paper in the corner that had some important information on it, and now he can't find it, and it's going to take him forever. We can do that same thing in a cell. Once we understand the way the proteins are organized and directed to different compartments, we can also play with this, and in a way, just like I can slow down my boyfriend from finding that paper, we can slow down the cancer cell. And in this way, by disrupting and by understanding the functions that the cancer cell has, by using these proteins in their different areas, such as regulating cell growth or metabolism, or even their ability to invade nearby tissues. Once we understand that, this basic function of the cancer cells, we can then come up with different ways. So in essence, once we understand the method, the organization behind the cancer cell's method, we can then come up with different ways to try to disrupt and stop their madness. So, thank you.